press the bell icon on the YouTube app and never miss another update.
Hello children, so we are discussing the concept of coordination. Compounds. So we reached a conclusion in our previous discussion with respect to crystal field stabilization energy and crystal field splitting energy. So what was the final outcome in an octahedral field? Octahedral field, the d orbitals break into two sets, that is T2g and Eg set. The energy difference between the two is called as crystal field splitting energy and represented by delta naught, crystal field splitting energy. Crystal field splitting energy is the difference of the energies between the two splitted sets of d orbitals in presence of ligands. And then we reached the interaction of delta O and pairing energies. So what was the final outcome? What we said is, when pairing energy is more than delta 0, electron unpairs. When pairing energy is less than delta 0, electron pairs. These are the discussion that we have already done. Okay, then we calculated one parameter of crystal field stabilization energy, which is equal to T2g, number of electrons in T2g, into minus 0.4 plus number of electrons in Eg into 0.6 plus dash pairing energies in which field? Octahedral field. This was octahedral splitting that we talked about. We talked about the color of the compounds due to DD transition that comes into play. And when DD transition color comes into play, electron gets excited from T2g set to Eg set. Now while coming back, it will radiate some energy which will be equal to H C by lambda into wave number. So we can calculate the energy for one photon released into Avogadro's number. So we will be able to calculate for 1 mole respectively. So we have clearly mentioned that crystal field splitting energy in an octahedral field may be given by wave number or wavelength or energy or frequencies respectively. So according to that we can see whether pairing has to occur or not. We'll solve questions on the basis of this as well. Now today our discussion is, I'll just take first of all splitting into considerations. Then when we are solving questions, it must be an easy path for us to travel. So today we will start a discussion on the crystal field splitting in a tetrahedral field. So we talked about octahedral field so far. Now we will talk about crystal field splitting in a tetrahedral field. Okay, so we are applying crystal field theory to different splitting patterns. So crystal field theory in tetrahedral complexes. So in a tetrahedral complex, how will crystal field theory approach and how crystal field theory comes into play and what is the splitting pattern? So I need not to break my head again and again here. So we have a generalization here. We have d orbitals. So that is absence of ligands. So we call this as isolated metal atom or isolated metal ion. Now when the ligands will come, the energies will be raised. So lifting of degeneracy will occur. Lifting of degeneracy has occurred. Now in presence of field, this is in ligand field. Now which field is there? Tetrahedral field. Now we have an important thing to understand here. Because it is tetrahedral field, will the splitting pattern remain same or it will change? We now know d orbitals are oriented variously. Again we will go in particle in a box arrangement here and we will see how exactly the arrangement will come into play. So we have considered this to be Understand it very well, children. Now again we have the metal atom here. All of you should understand, when it is tetrahedral field, we can consider the ligand is coming, and suppose this is metal atom here, ligand here. So ligand is coming from 4 different corners. So we have a central metal atom. This is one ligand coming, this is second one, this is third one, and this is fourth one ligand coming. Now if you break this central metal atom into axes, you can understand it. If you break this into axes, you will find out the electron clouds okay. So we have a metal atom here. Now earlier when octahedral field was coming, the ligands were approaching along the axis. Yes or no? Very simple to understand. But now when the ligands are approaching, they are approaching in a tetrahedral direction. How will tetrahedral direction be oriented? These are 4 different corners, opposite corners of a particular cube you take into consideration. So central metal atom is here. So you have one ligand coming from here, then one ligand coming from here, then one ligand coming from here, then one ligand coming from here. So if you want to understand it more clearly, children, we can have a look on this 3-dimensional arrangement. So how exactly the orientation will be? So it is one ligand coming in this direction, then one more ligand coming in this direction. So from the 2 opposite corners, this way, check it properly. So from here, then third one is coming in this direction and fourth one here. Now you can see that this is axis, this is x-axis, this is y-axis, and this is z-axis. Every orbital which is coming, have a look, x-axis, then y-axis, then z-axis. Every orbital which is coming out is coming in between the ligands. You can look that case here itself. You do not have the ligands in a tetrahedral field approaching directly. So ligands in octahedral field. But tetrahedral field, the ligands are coming in the middle. So which axis? X-axis. And which axis we have here? Y-axis. So it is in the middle of the 2 or not? So the plane of XY, XZ and YZ are affected by the ligands directly. But on the axis, those orbitals which are present on the axis are not affected directly. Did you follow the point or not? So in an octahedral field, we have seen axis was affected more, and in between the plane it was not affected much. But in a tetrahedral field, so we have one here, correct or not? So ligand is not coming in this direction now. Ligand is coming in between the 2, in between the axis, because this is tetrahedral field. So it is coming in between the plane. So direct interaction between ligands and central metal atom orbitals is in between the plane, not on the plane. So what will happen by that? According to that, these d orbitals will break their degeneracies. And important thing to understand here is that crystal field splitting energy, which will be available in the present case, will not be same to that of octahedral field, because now here you will have 2 down and 3 will be up. But keep it in mind, the energy difference between the 2, which is called as crystal field splitting energy, we will call that delta T. Crystal field splitting energy in which field? Tetrahedral field. Because only how many ligands have come? Only 4. In octahedral field, have a look. In octahedral field, the ligand is coming where how many? 6. And in tetrahedral field, the number of ligands coming are how many? 4. So it is roughly 2/3 ligands. So if suppose in this case it was 3/3, now 2/3 ligands are coming for bond formation, clearly. So out of 6, 2 are left out, now only 4 are coming for bond formation. So 2/3. And keep it in mind, in crystal field crystal field splitting energy, each ligand reduces the crystal field splitting energy by the value of 2/3. So the total number of ligands which are reduced is 2 by 3. Now the new ligands are 2 by 3, and each ligand when is reduced, it reduces the value by 2 by 3. So that will be 4 by 9. That means tetrahedral splitting is 4 by 9th of octahedral splitting. Logically means octahedral splitting will be 9 by 4 of tetrahedral splitting. 9/4 of tetrahedral splitting. Did you understand or not? Because the number of ligands have reduced to 2/3, and with each reduction, with the reduction in each ligand, there is reduction in crystal field splitting energy by the value of 2 by 3. So the total change by 2 ligands will be 4, 9. So tetrahedral splitting energy, crystal field splitting energy in tetrahedral field will be 4/9 of octahedral field. So I'll write down CFSE. Crystal field splitting energy in tetrahedral field will be 4/9 of crystal field splitting energy in which field? Octahedral field. Logically, delta T will be 4 by 9 of delta O, and other mathematical calculation I have told you already. And in this case, the orbitals that had split it into the energy, so energy difference is crystal field splitting energy represented by delta T. Barycenter again is the same. Barycenter I told you earlier, right? Barycenter is the average mean energy between the two splitted sets of energies. Now, which one has come down and which one has gone up? Crystal field splitting energy. Which one has come down? Which one? dx square y square is down, dz square, because these are the orbitals on the axis, and on the axis orbitals in tetrahedral field are affected less. And which has gone above? dxy, then you have dxz, then you have dyz. You can see that the tetrahedral splitting is reverse of octahedral splitting. A reason can be understood. In octahedral splitting, the ligands are approaching directly along the axis, but in tetrahedral splitting they are coming in between the axes. So those orbitals which are in between the axes in tetrahedral field are affected more compared to those in the octahedral field. So as a result of that, dx square, y square, dz square. But remember, there is no pairing concept coming into play in tetrahedral fields. The reason is the field strength is very low. What do I mean to say by that? Even if a strong ligand like Cn and CO will come into play, even if a very strong ligand like Cn and CO will come into play, there will be no question of pairing and unpairing at all, because electron will, after electron is going in this set, the low energy set in this case is called as E, and high energy set is called as T2. We have removed the word G from here. So G is a word which means Gerard, G-E-R-A-D-E, Gerard, we call it Gerard. It in other words means symmetry. But when it is tetrahedral field, it is not symmetric field. Like in octahedral field, it was symmetric. So the word G is, so it is doubly degenerate now, it is triply degenerate now, but the generate field, the symmetrical field is not coming to play, so G has been removed. So it is E set and T2 set. Energy difference between the two again, CFSE. Am I clear or not? Oh, clear. If you want to calculate CFSE, crystal field stabilization energy for this now. One is crystal field splitting energy, that will be done on the basis of spectroscopic methods. How much is the energy difference between the two? Other is crystal field stabilization energy. Now here, the electron which is going in T2G set stabilizes by the value of 0.6, but the one going in E set, T2 set, unstabilize the value of plus 0.4. It is reverse, so it will be what? Minus 0.6 into number of electrons in E set plus 0.4 into number of electrons in T2 set, and there is no question of pairing in case of which field is tetrahedral field, because already the field strength is reduced to 2/3, and with the reduction in the field strength to 2/3, each ligand reduces it by the value of 2 by 3, because we will have a discussion after the splitting pattern. We will have a discussion on factors affecting crystal field splitting energy. There are three or more factors there, like what is the oxidation state of central metal atom, what is the nature of the ligands, and which central metal atom has been used. We'll have a discussion of that. So there are many mathematical equation is that we get from here. So tetrahedral splitting is 4/9 of octahedral field. This can be used to solve questions directly. And tetrahedral field is 4/9 of octahedral fields. Am I clear or not? Am I clear? Right. So this is the splitting pattern in which field? Tetrahedral field and crystal field stabilization energy. I will write here. Don't get confused with this one with crystal field splitting. Crystal field splitting is the energy difference during the splitting of the degenerate d orbitals. Crystal field stabilization energy is the total stability that the complex has in presence of a field. So 0.6 into number of electrons in E set, right? 0.6 of what field? Delta T. 0.4 of what field? Delta T. So this is stabilizing by 0.6 of the total CFSE. This is unstabilizing by the value of 0.4 of the total CFSE. So crystal field stabilization energy equals to what? Minus 0.6 of delta T into number of electrons in E plus 0.4 into of delta T into number of electrons in T2. So there is no G word coming to play. So this is crystal field stabilization energy calculation. Got it? So it's upside down moments. So there is no question appearing in D2, D3 configurations itself at all, right? So here you can understand in tetrahedral geometry what will be the cases happening, right? So one more splitting pattern, children, that we need to understand is the square planar pattern. But that square planar splitting pattern we will understand only once we are done with the electronic configurations of different metal atoms respectively. Clear or not? Or am I clear with the thought here? Right. Let us see some questions and use crystal field theory approach to solve for different types of questions with respect to the splitting patterns, magnetic moment calculations, hybridizations. Okay. We will take different electronic configurations now, different metal atoms now, different oxidation state containing metal atoms now, and there use crystal field theory approach in order to understand the electronic configuration systems. First of all, we will talk about some octahedral complexes with different types of ligand systems. Okay. So let us talk about some octahedral complexes. Let us take first one, CO F6 3 minus. We know fluorine is a weak field ligand, right? Fluorine is a weak field ligand. So all the halogens are weak field ligands. Water is a strong ligand. Water is a borderline, so water is also a weak ligand. NH3, then pyridine, then ethylene diamine, then CO and CN. These are all strong ligands. Then you have the ligands in the form of OH minus, F minus, NO2, then you got Cl minus, then you have many other ligand systems. They are weak ligands. They can all be analyzed on the basis of spectroscopical studies, spectrochemical series. That is very simple to analyze. The ligands in presence of fields depending upon at what level they are absorbing. If they are absorbing at higher wavelengths, that means the energy required to shift electron is less. That obviously means the ligand field will be weak. Let me explain it to you so that you can get a clearance how exactly the field strength can be found out. How can you find out whether the given ligand is stronger or weaker ligand? Now, basic thing is, children, when the splitting has occurred, say we have here titanium under +3 state. So we don't know under what ligand system it is. So technically we are not knowing crystal field splitting energy at all. We don't know that at all. What we want to do is, we want to shift this electron from T2G set to EG set in an octahedral field. Now once you are shifting it to the EG set, how much of energy was required to do that, to shift electron from T2G to EG? If the amount of energy required for shifting electron from T2G to EG is more, that means crystal field splitting energy is high. So when crystal field splitting energy is high, that means the two sets of degenerate orbitals are very far from each other, and that is only possible when the ligand has forced the splitting to the higher extent. Such a ligand will force pairing, thus such a ligand is a stronger ligand. And when the ligand is strong, CFSE is high, strong field ligand, it will force what? Pairing. So once it forces pairing, we will have low spin complexes coming into play. So on the basis of the absorption, what is lambda max? What is absorption? What is absorption peak at? So if it is absorbing at high wave numbers, is it absorbing at high frequency? Is it absorbing at less wavelength? Is it absorbing at high energy? Because all these will mean same thing. So if it is absorbing at low wavelength, that means the crystal field splitting energy is more. Now, when you are comparing two ligands, suppose you are comparing ligand 1 and ligand 2, and you have seen CFSE of ligand 1 is more than CFSE of ligand 2. That means L1 is stronger than ligand 2. And if L1 containing metal atom, because CFSE is a stronger ligand, L1 is a stronger ligand compared to L2, and if you want to replace it, this is called as ligand exchange. If L1 is stronger ligand compared to L2, when you dissolve this complex in a medium, L2 will not be able to replace L1 at all, because this is ligand exchange. Ligand exchange can only occur when the ligand attached to central metal atom provides it more crystal field stabilization or provides it more crystal field splitting compared to the already present ligand. So exchange of the ligand will not occur. Did you understand or not? So this absorption method can be used to find out whether the given ligand system is stronger or weaker. We can take one simple question also to understand this clearly. Say, this is technically discussion of colors also. Say, we have a metal atom. It is absorbing in to develop color. It is absorbing in red, green, yellow and violet zone. So when it is ligand 1 red zone, L2 green zone, ligand 3 yellow zone and ligand 4 violet zone. What will be the order of the strength of the ligands? That means in these cases, what will be the order of crystal field splitting energies? It's very simple to analyze. Now when you look on these colors given, they all fall in the visible zone. So we have V, I, B, G, Y, O, R. So when you go from VIBGYOR, so wavelength will be increasing, energy will be decreasing, frequency will also decrease, wave number will also be decreasing. This should be simple because energy and wavelength are inversely proportional. Energy, frequency directly, energy and wave number are also directly. Wavelength and wave number are inverse, frequency and lambda is also inverse. So when I move from violet to blue, wavelength is increasing. According to the question, L4 is absorbing in which zone? The absorption of L4, that means in order to excite the electron from T2G set to EG set, when the metal atom is in presence of L4, it is absorbing in which zone? Violet zone. That means in presence of L4 to develop color. In presence of L4, the amount of energy required for excitation is most for violet. So that will mean L4 is the strongest ligand, followed by green. So green is for L2, L4 stronger than L2. Which is stronger than Y? L3. Which is stronger than red? L1. This will be the order of the strength of the ligands. Did you follow or not? Because metal atom is absorbing the visible zone in different wavelengths. So when the crystal field stabilization energy, can I call it like this? In L4, pattern is more. Then in L3, L2, it is slightly lesser. Then L3, it is further less. And L1, it is least. So what is this one? This is crystal field splitting energy in case of L4, L2, L3 and L1 respectively. Hope you understood the point clearly. So on the basis of these experimental investigations, the spectrochemical experimental investigation, a light-based experimental investigation, we will come to know the strength of the ligands. Even I said ligand exchanges. If one ligand is able to exchange to other ligand, the ligand being exchanged is a weaker ligand. So in spectrochemical series, it will be put according to the order. So halogens are weak ligands. Then what is a borderline ligand? Mostly bidentate ligands like oxalate to ethylene diamine are strong, or EDTA, they are all strong ligands because chelation brings in more stability, or right or not. Then you got a groups like CN and CO. We will discuss about the concept of pi acids as we keep on going forward, and I'll tell you why CO and CA are the strongest ligands. I said what are the factors affecting CFSE? We have a discussion on that to do as well. I said there are many factors. We will discuss that one full analysis itself. Clear or not? So by now we are trying to understand the approach of which one? Crystal field theory, in order to understand hybridization magnetic moment of different substances. So I just told you about the ligands, how usually it is found out whether the given ligand system is a stronger ligand system or not. Now, rather than discussing certain examples and certain questions with respect to this, we will do one thing first, children. We will start a discussion on the splitting pattern in square planar complexes, which is also coordination number 4 only, right? Because there are also 4 atoms are coming for coordination, right? But what is the splitting pattern there? Because in square planar system you have DsP2 hybridization. Remember this thing, that square planar complexes usually come into play in D8 configuration. There will be many typical cases that will be discussed in D8 configuration. Now in D8 configuration, what we have the sets here, children, is, have a look. So we have, first of all, I'll draw it out, 5. Then lifting of degeneracy has occurred. Then there will be 2 sets down, right? 3 down and 2 up. Or there will be 2 down and 3 up. Now we can write down this one as isolated metal atom. This one is in presence of ligands. This is octahedral splitting, and this one is tetrahedral splitting. That's a basic rule. So keep this geometry in mind. So this is 5. Lifting of degeneracy has occurred. Then there is T2G set and EG set. Here you have E set and T2 set. CFSE will be, how much is stability and instability? Minus 0.4 plus 0.6. Here it is reversed from the very center. minus 0.6 plus 0.4. So you can write this minus 0.6 also as, it will be 2 by 5. Yes, this will be 3 by 5. Here it will be reverse, it will be 3 by 5. It will be 2 by 5. That can also be written as 2 by 5, right? So this is tetrahedral splitting. Now we have square planar complexes which the field is D8. What's the configuration? D8. I will start a discussion of square planar breaking from here. Square planar. Now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Anyhow in D8 configuration you will have T2G set completed. So T2G set is completely filled in D2G set. Even if pairing is occurring, T2G set it's completely filled. Right, very good. Now in EG children, you have 2 electrons. This is dx square y square and this is dz square. Now when will a square planar complex be made? Children, square planar complexes are made when D8 configuration is present in strong field ligands. Which field? Strong field ligand. Am I clear or not? So like you have nickel, Ni, CN4, Ni, CN4. Two minus. Nickel will be plus 2. We know nickel is 3d8, 4s2. It has lost 2 electrons, D8 configuration. So consider this complex to be NiCN4 2 minus itself. Now children, in dx square y square and dz square you have 2 electrons each. Now the total number of bonds made are sp. What is it? sp. Either the 4 bonds are there, either it will be sp3 or it will be dsp2. When it is a weak field ligand, in valence bond theory we learned it. When it is a weak field ligand, what happens is there is no pairing. Because there is no pairing of these 2 d orbitals, sp3 hybridization comes into play, tetrahedral structure will be there. However, in presence of strong field on the basis of magnetic bond moments, what did we find out? When strong field is there, pairing comes into play. Because we can find out in NiCN4 2 minus, in VBT also we did it, the number of unpaired electrons are 0. That means the electron from dz square and dx square y square, from one of the 2, electron is shifting in one of the 2 orbitals. I did not say which, from where to which orbital. So let me make this thing more clear because these are very interesting discussions, children. Extremely fruitful discussions we have. So I will make it here so that diagrammatically it will be clear. So square planar complexes, D8 configuration, strong field ligand. So I'll directly draw it now. So what's the system we have now? 1, 2, 3. Then you got 4, 5. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is our T2G set. And in EG set we have 1 electron and 1 electron. This is dx square, y square, and this is our dz square. In presence of strong field ligand, children, dx square, y square and dz square. Let us see it as diagrammatic part first of all. Come here, have a look on this case. Now these are our axes. Now if you look on the z square orbital, this is z square, right? dz square. And a torque, it has only 2 lobes. Above the plane and below the plane. These 2 lobes for their z. But looking on dx square and dy square, it has how many lobes? 4 lobes. Very good. Now according to diagram, dx square, y square has also 1 electron and dz square has also 1 electron. Now my question is very simple to you children, that when you find out how many lobes are there, 4 lobes, how many lobes are there? 2 lobes. Now when the ligands are coming for bond formation, will there be more repulsion along 4 lobes? I am talking about D8 configuration, square planar complex, dsp2 hybridization. When dsp2 hybridization comes into play, or along two lobes repulsion will be more. Naturally, repulsion will be more along dx square y square, that's along 4 lobes compared to 2 lobes. So what has happened is the electron from dx square y square, which is finding out more repulsions coming into play compared to dz square. So electron from dx square y square shifts into dz square, but that can only happen when the degeneracy of this Eg set is also broken. Indeed that happens. So these 3 will be down and these 2 will be broken off, dz square will be down and dx square y square is up, dz square is down, because the number of lobes present are only 2, repulsions exhibited is only by 2 ligands, but here it is by more number of ligands. As a result, both electrons will go to which set? dz square. So dx square y square will be free or not? Yes. So this dx square y square will combine with s and then 2p orbitals and make dsp2 hybridized orbitals. How many will be made? 4. And so keep it in mind, it is dx square y square only which is responsible for making which geometry? Square planar, and that is correct only. Have a look, dx, this is y. So along this bond made, along this bond made, along this bond made, along this bond made. So we have here what? Ligand, here ligand, here ligand, and here ligand. When you look on the geometry of this will be perfectly square planar geometry. You are getting the point or not? So the electron is shifted from where? dx square y square. However, if octahedral complex is made, keep it in mind, if the hybridization is sp3d2, what's the hybridization? sp3d2, then the total number of ligands coming for bond formation will be 6. But what will happen is, this is dz square, 1 electron containing, this is dx square y square, right or not? This will meet how many incoming ligands? Only 2 along z axis. This will meet how many ligands? 4. Oh, yes or no? So repulsion along this will be less or more? Less. But repulsion along dx square y square will be more. So in a normal octahedral structure there is distortion, that is 4 bonds of long length and 2 bonds of short length. Let me just cut it short and make it simple. Actually there are extreme good deeper discussions available in coordination chemistry, but we need to be careful as we are not physically in contact with you people here, right? So you just comprehend out any doubts are there, you can ask. So electron has come to dz square, dx square y square is free now. So pairing has occurred or not? If you keep the diagram like this, there is no question of pairing, because pairing cannot occur between the orbitals of same energy. Here orbitals of different energy are possible, and that is only possible when the interaction between ligands and central atom varies. So dx square y square will get freed. As a result of that, this will be the splitting pattern. I can further make one more splitting pattern out of it. Want to see that? Yes. So the square planar splitting pattern. So can you draw the square planar splitting pattern now, children? Quick. Yes, fast. Square planar splitting pattern. How it will be? So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, then 1, 2, 3, then 1, then 2. This is dxy, this is dxz, this is dyz, then there is dx square y square, then this is dz square. Further splitting is also possible, and you will get the diagrammatic analysis as, look here, xy has more energy, sorry, this one will be dz square, right, this will be dz square, this will be dx square to y square. Very good. Splitting has occurred here. Good. Next one. It will be above and it will be below this higher energy state. Okay. We have seen here, this is x, this is y. So when 4 ligands will be coming along X, Y. In octahedral splitting again, we can break it out further. So when 4 ligands are coming along X and Y, here we have, this is X, this is Y. In between the two, we have DXY. So children, in this DXY, DXZ and DYZ, because DXY is coplanar to that of dx square y square, keep it in mind. Because it is coplanar to dx square y square, although there will be more impact on the orbitals along x and y and z axis, but the orbitals in a square planar system can further be influenced more because ligands are coming more along what? X and y. So they will influence out of these 3 ligands, besides affecting x square y square to the most extent, out of these 3, XY will also be influenced more compared to that of XZ and YZ because of coplanarity. X and Y are affected already more. In between the two, there is one more ligand. It will also be affected. X square Y square is affected more, but DXY will be affected to some extent a bit more compared to the other T2G sets. As a result of that, the energy of DXY will be bit higher compared to DXZ and DYZ. And sometimes in strong fields, the splitting is so strong that the breaking order will be like this. This will be DXZ, this will be DYZ, then it will be DZ square, this will be DXY, and this will be DX square Y square, because of coplanarity between X and Y orbitals. So this is one more splitting pattern that can come into play here. But you just need to keep this thing in mind, that when the ligands are approaching along a particular direction more, the coplanar orbital is also affected. So this degeneracy can further be broken into DXZ, DYZ, DZ square, DXY, DX square to Y square. I am discussing the most typical cases of this. So out of these 3, DXY is affected more, and here DZ square, because of only 2 lobes availability, is affected as well, but effect is so less that DXY goes above in terms of energy diagrams for it. Right? So shall we finalize out the final diagrammatic picture for all the splitting patterns according to crystal field theory and according to interactions? Yes. Shall I generalize the picture now? Correct. We will go with the last generalized picture of this crystal field theory, on the basis of which all the questions with respect to crystal field theory will be solved. I will try to write neat and clean now. Okay. So we have general splitting pattern. Okay, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then lifting of degeneracy in presence of ligand field will occur. It will give you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Correct or not? This will break energy diagram. The splitted energies T2G sets should be higher than the isolated atom. So it will be here 1, 2, 3, and here 1, 2. Now which set is this? It will be T2G set. It will be which set? EG set. Correct or not? Then you will have 1, 2. Then 1, 2, 3. This will be which set? It will be E set. It will be T2 set. Yes? Correct or not? Now here, from here, this is in square planar geometry. So from here if you go, This one in square planar geometry. What will be the diagrammatic analysis here? Again, 1, 2, 3, then 1 down, 1 up. Yes or no? So we can write it down as well. This is dxy, this is dxz, this is dyz, then this is dx square y square, then this will be dz square. Here it is reverse. This is dxy, then dxz, then dyz, then dx square y square, then this one dz square. Correct or not? This is dxy, then dxz, then dyz, then dz square, then dx square y square. Correct or not? Oh, you are getting the points clear or not? Very good. And then the final splitting pattern what I showed a while earlier was 1, 2, 3, 1, 1. What was it? dx z, dyz, dz square, dxy, dx square, y square. Is it clear with diagrams? All right or not? This one, isolated metal atom or ion. This one, symmetrical ligand field. This one, octahedral splitting. This one, tetrahedral splitting. This one, square planar splitting. And this one, coplanar splitting. Is it clear? Diagrams clear or not? Energy wise, tell me energy wise what happens? Here, plus 0.6 and down minus 0.4. Here down, minus 0.6 up plus 0.4. So this is how diagrammatically you will be in a position, and these are very important actually. These are extremely important whenever you are solving questions with respect to crystal field theory. Now formula wise, what is CFSE equal to? For which field? Octahedral field, crystal field stabilization energy equals to what? T2G into, minus 0.4 into T2G, number of electrons in T2G, of minus 0.4 of delta T into number of electrons in T2G plus 0.6 of delta O into number of electrons in EG plus what? Pairings in which field? Octahedral field. So what about CFSE in tetrahedral field? Minus 0.6 delta O, So minus 0.6 delta T into number of electrons in T2G or E plus 0.4 into T2 number of electrons. Pairing concept doesn't come into play. Of what? Delta T. One more thing that we learned, what was it? Delta T equals to 4 by 9th of octahedral splitting, or delta O equals to 9 by 4th of delta T. That is, crystal field splitting energy in tetrahedral field is 4 by 9th of octahedral field. Directly you can use this equation to solve questions. And crystal field stabilization energy values, according to this, you should be in a position to solve questions quite easily. Am I clear? Clear to everyone, children? Yes. Need to focus on the diagrammatic part. So in our next class, we'll start the concept of colors, and then we'll start questions on splitting concepts and hybridization concepts with respect to crystal field theory. Am I clear? So we are doing it integrated, so you need to be clear with everything. So every time when you go in a science and learn it easily, things are not very easy actually, and you are not learning it properly. I have said it many times. You need to understand things at the fundamental core. It will be typical, it will be difficult, because science has never been easy. Clear, children? Thank you.